I got the
Welcome,
yes.
everyone. We're live, CT, with Bill Daughtry on the streets, buzzing 23-24 season among us right now. And it's great to see you, Bill. How you feeling?
CT, always good to see you. Always good to be with you, my friend. And it is indeed a pleasure and a blessing to be with you tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate you. The chat's buzzing. A lot of fans of yours, of course, the legend, New York Sports Talk Radio. Um, look forward to talking about this season coming up. What have you observed in the preseason? Some piggybacking off some of our previous conversations about what the Knicks should do to improve this roster. The East has changed a lot. Uh, how do you feel about the Knicks' chances heading into the season? Straight out, the East is looking different. Where do they stack up for you right now?
Well, let's see. Boston added Porzingis and Holiday. They re-signed Jason Brown. Jalen Brown, rather. Tatum is back. They still got a solid bench. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Dame is in Milwaukee now. They got a new head coach there, but Damian Lillard is now playing in the Eastern Conference, and we got Dante DiVincenzo.
Good player.
uh,
Good player.
Not a difference maker, bro.
Yep.
We CT, we've talked a couple of times during the summer. And I wasn't engaged because of what the Knicks weren't doing. I mean, really, what they did last year, winning 47 games, was spectacular. And a lot of folks that I've had conversations with during the summer and in the past week or so, everybody likes to reference how the East is not that good, how they are weaker than they were last year. But if you're a Knicks fan, let's hang our hat on two things here. Okay. Who's going to be your breakout player this year? Last year was an import. It was Brunson. A couple of years before that, it was another import. It was Julius Randle. Who's going to be your breakout player this year? And more importantly, in this weak Eastern Conference, what team is going to have a breakout year? Is it going to be Orlando? Is it going to be Detroit with a new head coach? And Monty Williams has a bunch of young players, and he's going to have those guys playing D. Don't get it twisted for 1 second. Is it going to be an Atlanta resurgence? So, I mean, throw all those things into the hopper and look at what your team was last year and what it is this year coming into the season, what you've added to it, what's been added around you, because you're not playing in a vacuum. And really, tell me, how excited are you about the prospects of the New York Knicks? You want to play the over-under game? How many games are they going to win? As many games as they won last year? Are they going to go beyond 47? Really? I mean, again, no knock on Dante DiVincenzo. Good player. Good player. He's going to help you in some regard, I would imagine. Okay. But again, when and Siri's over there in the corner talking.
Yeah.
Shut up, girl.
Yeah.
Again, when you look at what other teams have done and what the Knicks have done, how excited are you really? Because you're not sneaking up on anybody this year. Julius Randle. I always say by year 3, you are what you're going to be. You get to that 4th season in the NBA, the player that you've been in year 3, that's the guy you're going to be going forward. How long have we seen Julius Randle's act here with the New York Knicks? R.J. Barrett, breakout, you think? I don't know. You hope that he plays as well as he was playing in last year's playoffs. Because really, the Knicks were very much in last year's playoffs until R.J. Barrett took that second foul in Game 5 down in Miami. That's when it went south for them. So how much more improvement is there going to be? Tom Thibodeau is shown a desire to play Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims together. You can't do that. That's 3-on-5. It's 3-on-5. Who's shooting the basketball? And shooting is not particularly one of your strong points to begin with. So there's a lot of stuff. I don't like to be Debbie Downer, but I'm not excited about what's facing the New York Knicks coming into this season.
Yeah, it definitely was a quieter off season because of a lot of, in large part, because of the success. They feel like there's young players growing. Jalen Brunson, his second year this season, you don't feel like he could go to another gear. Do you feel like we're going to see more of the same from Jalen Brunson? Because he, the best player on this team, they could go as far as he could also help, take the team. Great playoff performer, still only 26, 27, learning his teammates. How do you see, Jalen Brunson's impact in getting to where this team was last year?
I look at this team, Jalen Brunson on down the roster. As I said a couple of minutes ago, they're not catching anybody by surprise this year. There's going to be adjustments made. Teams are going to adjust to the bully ball that Brunson and Randle and RJ, everybody likes to call it ISO. They're bully ball guys. They like to walk you down into the paint and bang your body around and get nice, easy layups and going back down the other end. Now, if you press them, if you put some pressure on them in the half court, they'll pass the basketball. But where it winds up, who's going to be the shooter? Who's going to be that person that when bully ball breaks down, where do you go? Is it going to be Quickley? Is it going to be Grimes? I asked about, okay, who on this team breaks out this year? I think it's Quentin Grimes, but part of the problem is for him to break out, he's got to take somebody's shots. Whose shots is he getting? Because Brunson's not passing the ball. Brunson's not setting people up. Brunson's getting his shot. And so these are the things that, that are on my mind. Now, I could be totally wrong. Knicks could have a 55-win season and get to what? The conference finals? Really? I mean, I'm saying this, but I'm not believing what I'm saying. I'm not.
Yeah, it's early, and it's definitely got to play the games. That's why we play them. But yeah, there are legitimate concerns. I don't think they had the best preseason. Brunson and Hart, obviously, I don't think it's much to do with FIBA, but they didn't really play them many minutes. I felt like, why are you playing Brunson 5 minutes in the first game for no reason? I'd rather sit them out the first two games and then just ramp them up 30-minute for the third and fourth games. But yeah, I like what you said about Grimes. Yeah, he's super important. Barrett, but Deuce McBride, we see some highlights on screen. He's a guy, Bill, who looks like he's improved his game in this preseason, helped change the season last year. Does Deuce McBride have a bigger role on this team that maybe no one could see coming?
You might get an answer to that on Monday. Monday is Emmanuel Quickley Day, right? That's the deadline to sign him to an extension. And that's going to be real interesting because who's the kid in San Antonio, Devin Vassell? Am I saying his last name correctly?
Yeah.
This week he got 5 years, $135 million.
Ooh. Well done, agent.
I mean, the Knicks gave $80 million to Hart in the offseason. Now, if I'm sitting there and I'm Emmanuel Quickley, I think I'm worth a little bit more than Mr. Hart.
No doubt.
He's not a bargain anymore.
Pritchard. got paid.
Yeah. It's interesting. Knicks did not play Quickley in the last 2 preseason games, but
Yep.
I don't want to speculate. I just want to look at what actually is, and this all relates back to what I was talking about with Deuce McBride. Okay, we saw him in the game against Boston, where the Knicks basically returned the favor that the Celtics did. When the Celtics came in and played at Madison Square Garden, they left all their starters home. None of the new guys were there. They played the subs, and the Knicks struggled with the subs. Okay? And then when the Knicks go up to Boston a couple of days ago, they leave all their starters home because they got a back-to-back. It's kind of like what Boston had. They got the back-to-back with Washington coming up the next night. And in that game, Deuce McBride showed you some things offensively. Okay, now you fast forward to the second game of the back-to-back. How did he look against Washington? Not a factor. Really wasn't a factor in that game.
He's not quite there yet in terms of consistency, that's for sure.
His third year.
He's a $1 million player.
And our guy Mike Breen, the Hall of Famer, and I got nothing but a ton of respect for Mike. Mike talks about how if this kid got minutes, how he would rise up the ladder. He'd be a solid NBA shooter. Well, here's the thing. If he was worthy of minutes, don't you think he would get them? If his minutes could truly help the team, don't you think he would get them?
Coach might not trust him fully,
He can't usurp Quickley. If Deuce McBride and Quickley are standing there on the fence, you got next. Who you taking? Who are you taking?
Quickley. No doubt. I mean, Deuce in his role, he's required to come in and play tough defense. We saw Jordan Poole and Tyus Jones tear us a new one. Someone has to stop someone.
The Knicks couldn't get in the Jordan Poole. 41 points. 41 points in 3 quarters. And that was against the starters, ladies and gentlemen. You talk about weaker teams in the East. I don't know if Washington is one of them.
Everyone can shoot. That's the problem. You leave them wide open, and it's going to pay. It's going to pay. I don't want the Knicks to really get into shootouts this year. It needs to be, try to hold the dude under 100, team under 100.
And what was Thibodeau's takeaway from the game against Washington? We're not playing defense enough. Even DiVincenzo, the new guy, says we got to do more on defense. This is against Washington. This is what your starters for 3 quarters. And you got lit. Are you sure the East is going to be a weaker conference this year?
I'll tell you, though, like within the game, Bill, I think the Knicks, a trend from last year is the bigs are slow rotating, I got no doubt, the Knicks will buckle down with the Harts, the Quickleys, the Deuces, DiVincenzos. But when the other team's got big men that can shoot, can Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, can they come out where they don't like to come out? They had Mike Muscala, Danilo Gallinari. I don't want to see what Karl Anthony Towns might be able to do as well, because we know he can shoot it. He's self-proclaiming the best big shooter in NBA history. We'll talk
what was Muscala the other night? Like 4 for 5 from 3 or something like that. Mike's a good player.
5 of 5.
5 of 5. He's a good player. He's a damn good player. He always has been. A guy from Bucknell, a good friend of mine, Mike Muscala, is his favorite player because he too is a graduate of Bucknell.
Yeah. He's a one-trick pony, but yeah, you leave him open and he can shoot it.
Guy's been in the league, 12 years?
Yeah.
They don't keep you in this league just because they like you now. Somebody thinks you can help. He's made a lot of stops. He's made a lot of stops in his career. But again, a gifted outside shooter, and he can do some dirty things for you too along the way inside.
Yeah. So I think this team is going to win it as a team, lose as a team, really. I hate to single particular players out because, basically within the locker room, that's where it should be handled. If a guy's not giving maximum effort, that's on Thibodeau and that's on the leadership group, to have those conversations. We know some guys have had some letdown moments. Uh, the team was missing Emmanuel Quickley, like we just said, Bill. Um, do you really feel like, I know you're not in the prediction game, do you feel like he's going to get extended and they know how important he is to this
A,
team?
a lot of people seem to think that, that they know the two sides are talking. Now, how close are they to an agreement? I don't know. And the Knicks are known for what? Good contracts. Now, with the market and the atmosphere surrounding Quickley, I don't know if they can get a good contract out of this. And then I'm gonna take the Knicks side of this argument. Okay, I'm gonna give $100 million to a player who has basically had 3 great months in his career. Think about that now. Because, I mean, okay, he's a darling in New York. We all love him. He does and says the right stuff. But when you get down to it statistically, Emmanuel Quickley was in the conversation for the Sixth Man Award. What got him into that conversation? Ironically, a game that he started in Boston. And he played well. He played 50 minutes in an overtime game, okay? That's the game that really got Quickley going, because before that game, there was home Quickley and road Quickley. Home Quickley shot about 37-38% from the field. Road Quickley, he was a 32-33% shooter. But that night in Boston, he got right. And he stayed right pretty much for the rest of the season until playoff time came around, and his numbers went back down again. So is that a guy that you want to commit $100 million to? And I'm just throwing that figure out because, again, that's the market's going to show. And what the heck? You gave $80 million to Hart. And Hart is the quintessential role guy. He's going to go in, he's going to get grimy, he's going to start the season as the backup power forward, I'm pretty sure. And it's 6'4", 6'5", that's not unheard of. Look up a guy named Greg Smith who played with the great Milwaukee Bucks when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was there. Great rebounder. He wasn't a bit over 6'4". Okay, but again, the Knicks gave that money to Hart. And is he worth it? I mean, to them, obviously he is, because he does a lot of intangible things. He comes with the lunch pail attitude. He comes with the fire in the belly. He comes with the aggression. Good man on the break, likes to go to the boards, hits the open three. It's nice. Is he worth $80 million? Well, to the Knicks, he is. To the Knicks, he is. But now you got this next guy coming up, averaging double digits. Your backup point guard can start when pressed into service. Protege of Derrick Rose. It'll be interesting to see what he does without Rose there this year. But Derrick Rose basically raised him up, cultivated him. You got to pay this guy now. You got to pay this guy. Yep. And then if you don't, is Deuce McBride really going to step into that breach?
Small doses for Deuce right now, I feel. But yeah, Quickley's way more important for this team, no doubt about it. He might be more important defensively than offensively. The numbers are quite staggering, when he's on the court in terms of plus minus, because he can really stop dribble penetration. The offense, I'm still not fully convinced that, we saw in the playoffs. What I'm saying is he needs to, to be more consistent. We know he can pop for 30 a night. He can get hot at any point, but yeah, he's still streaky. He's still young. For me, Bill, it's always about extending him, and then I think in the future when, and we're going to talk about that shortly, when the next fish is available, he's a contract that another team, would desire. Because I know him and Brunson can play together for stretches and it can look good. but ultimately he's a bench player for this team.
Yes.
Now, another team might see him as a starter. Not to say that he's not a great player for this team, but I think, yeah, IQ's future, I think, unless we move someone else, it's going to be as a backup for us or a starter on another team, you know?
I don't disagree with anything that you've said. I, I'm not sure that Quickly's upside is such that he could be the starting one. I don't think that's going to happen because Brunson is not going to be the starting two. I don't think Brunson's big enough to. And I'm not trying to sell him short because the guy is 6'3", uh, 200 pounds worth of heart. I mean, he's just a tiger. He's tenacious. He's as tube steak tough as they come at both ends of the floor. Not a great defender or anything like that, but still, I I'm not sure that you could keep the same of the two of them on the floor for extended periods and have success.
Yeah, and I do think him
Only
sitting.
only because Jalen Brunson has to have the ball in his hands.
Yeah, no doubt, definitely. There's only one basketball. I want to zero in on the two starting wings now, Bill, because we know what Brunson's going to bring. We know what Julius is, as you said. Um, we'll talk a little bit about Mitch too, because that's a position where I feel, we've talked about in the past a lot. But Quentin Grimes, coming into his third year now, expectations of the fan base, knows what he can do on this team. There's a lot of talk that he's not getting enough shots. Bill, he only got 4 shots the other night. He's playing with two of the highest volume players in the league. Isolation. The New York Knicks starting lineup was the highest scoring starting lineup last year. But can you see a world where Quentin Grimes can flourish this year? Hopefully they look for him more, but they're definitely looking him off at times.
I mean, it's like where the shots coming from. Like I said, they got the three bully ballers out there. Now, if the rotations are such the ball comes to him, end of a shot clock, no time to pass, that's where he's going to get shots from. When he gets the rebound and goes the other way, that's where he's going to get a shot from. He's kind of like Mitchell Robinson. They're not looking for him. They're not looking for him. He's just
Secondary.
there. Defend your guy, get some rebounds, and every once in a while, when the ball finds you, don't disappoint. Now, I want to tell you something. In that Boston game the other night up at TD Bank, TD Garden, if you prefer, uh, he was lights out. Wally Serbiak even referred to him as, "Oh, we got a flamethrower," because I mean, Grimes is shooting the daylights out of the ball. And this is because he spent the summer with the former Duke great J.J. Redick, working on that
Yep.
three ball, working on his release. And I mean, it was as sweet as you would want to see the other night in Boston. But again, once the rubber meets the road, when you got, and we haven't even talked about R.J. Barrett, but when you got Randle, when you got Barrett, when you got Brunson, where are the shots coming from?
They got to come. They got to come. It's up to the coach to, coach these guys, but understand that Grimes is a weapon on the catch and shoot. He complements the starting unit because he doesn't need the ball, but that shouldn't necessarily be taken for granted. He still needs the ball. He still needs to stretch the defense out. Now, if you want to add to that, and I'll also throw this topic with RJ Barrett. It looks like his floor vision, has taken a step this preseason in terms of finding Mitch on the lob, driving with his head up. Bill, we know Brunson and Randle. When they see a bucket, they're going to get the bucket. If RJ Barrett gets his assist numbers up, that's going to help this team a lot.
Well, RJ is going to primarily be a forward this year. He and Grimes, depending on what the defensive assignment is that night, they'll alternate at 2-3. In his rookie year and his second year, RJ would get some minutes at the point, but he's not getting those minutes anymore. The point is the exclusive domain of Jalen Brunson and Emmanuel Quickley. So he's not going to get those minutes at running the offense, but he's still offensively, and I referred to it as game 5 against Miami last year. It was game 6. When he got that second foul in the second quarter, that's when the game went south for the Knicks. Because even though RJ wasn't lighting it up from the field, he was getting to the free throw line. He was making his free throws. I think at that point, he had made like 6 free throws, and it was early in the second quarter. So this is his strength. This is what he does. But again, I can't see where the shots for anybody else are coming from when those 3 are on the floor. But of course, he's going to be, and I'm talking about RJ now, he's going to be the main guy on that second unit. He and Quickley are going to be the impetus of that second unit, more so RJ, because he'll already be out there. So again, this shot distribution is going to be a key. But here's the thing. We haven't talked about this yet. Tom Thibodeau is kind of like in the Emmanuel Quickley spot this year because he's got 1 year on the contract after this. So is it going to be a situation where he gets extended after this year or even before the end of this year? Or is he going to play out this year and then have to renegotiate from whatever point that he's at there? And he's not a flexible coach. We've seen that. Yeah. He coaches, he goes about it the way he goes about it. Love it or hate it, good or bad, whatever. He is Tom Thibodeau. And I don't know, this is usually the time when players that message doesn't resonate with them as much. It's going to be interesting to see as this season unfolds, because I really believe in my heart of hearts, the Knicks are going to have to make a trade for a major player mid-season. I don't know who that player is, but that's what I see happening with this team as they are presently constituted.
Yeah, I think firstly with the Thibs thing, you're on point. Of course, with the future, he's brought stability. We know what he's going to do. He's going to double down on what worked last year. He's going to, get down on those players that aren't hustling and aren't playing hard, and get them to elevate their energy levels. I think Thibs is going to stay. The main reason is not necessarily that I have full faith in his ability to lead us through the playoffs. Regular season, I don't have a doubt. But he's attached to the front office, Bill, for the most part. And every front office has at least one coaching fire before the flamethrower gets turned on to them, right? So if you're Leon Rose, you want to keep that ace up your sleeve, right? You've got that one coaching fire, I feel like. And, and Tom Thibodeau, for what he's doing well, he's protecting the front office as well. He's speaking a lot. He's answering all the questions. He's the spokesperson. He's taken the heat, and he rose through adversity last year. So I don't think he's going to get extended in season, but I think if he has a solid season, I think he'll be brought back.
Define a solid season.
Solid season is to get back and at least match last year's result.
That's not progress.
Less than last year's result is a step back. So, but you know what they're going to say? The argument is the rest of the East got stronger, and you didn't get me help.
Which is the exact opposite of what everyone is saying going into this season. The Eastern Conference, they're not that strong this year. It's just like Boston, Milwaukee, and then pick a team. There's a group. You got the Knicks, you have Philadelphia, you've got the Nets, you've got Atlanta. They're all, did I forget anybody? They're all kind of like bunched together.
Some teams have regressed, like Philly, we'll talk about them, but Harden, and the chemistry, the issues going on. Miami, didn't really make any additions either. So, I think at the top, some people are feeling like teams have regressed, and that's the Knicks' opportunity. There's no doubt they have a great opportunity this year. And I think at the deadline, we definitely could see a move. I'm with you on that because Leon Rose has made a move every single deadline he's been here. Now, they haven't been major moves, but that's what's been leading us to this point, Bill. How can we get over the hump without that star addition? And we're talking to Mark Berman. He was saying that Tom Thibodeau was pushing for the Drew Holiday deal. Of course, he wanted that upgrade, and I don't think he's going to stop talking to Leon about what this team needs.
So much is predicated on the way he likes to play. And again, his big is a rim protector, a rebounder. This is all fine and good. But how much more? Well, they don't have one of those, not at a big. Neither of their bigs are put the ball on the deck, take it to the basket guys. Neither one of them. I mean, Julius Randle. But then when you start talking about those guys who play the five, and take a look around in that Eastern Conference now, there's some big guys who are important to their team, who can score the basketball. I mean, Porzingis in a reduced role, he's like the fourth option now in Boston. But when the ball gets in his hands, you got to respect him. I don't think you have to say that about Mitchell Robinson. I don't think you have to say that about Jericho Sims. Julius Randle, on the odd times he'll find himself playing the five, he requires respect. But again, for me, the Knicks are 5-on-4. Whenever Mitchell Robinson is on the floor, they are 5-on-4.
In the playoffs, definitely. But that's why they got to look for him a lot more, especially when you're driving.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do it. He's going to get his offensive rebounds. He's going to get his putbacks. Yeah. Every once in a while, RJ will throw him a lob.
Not enough, I guess. But
no, not nearly enough.
Yep. Well, he's important defensively, of course. Without him, the floodgates open up more. So you it's that double-edged sword, Bill. Let's say hypothetically we swapped Cat, right? What's that going to do? It's going to give us more offense.
I don't want him.
Where does our defense go with that?
Oh, God. It disappears. It disappears.
Do you hope Mitchell Robinson can get a mid-range jumper?
I don't even want him to get a mid-range. I just want Mitchell to command respect on offense. And how does that happen? It happens when he has the ball in his hands. But how often is the ball going to wind up in his hands? We've talked about the three. We've talked about trying to get shots for other guys not in the three.
He gets his own buckets. He gets putbacks.
That's it.
It's like that's Julius and RJ.
I guess for me that's going to have to be enough because that's what it is. And again, I just go back to my initial premise. Knicks won 47 games last year in the regular season. Second round of the playoffs, they were literally 2 wins from the Eastern Conference Final. Literally. Now, we're talking about incremental progress here. Do they win 50 this year? Do they get those 2 extra wins in the playoffs? Right now, as they are presently constituted, I don't see it because they couldn't get those wins with the team that they had last year, which is arguably better than what they have going to battle right now.
Look, yeah, for everyone for the Knicks to take that next step, everyone has to kind of step up and have a better year or at least the same. Now, in terms of Mitch, on that note, I really feel like this team can improve with him at the 5 still, but you're going to have to bring in more offensive firepower, Bill. Your other 4 players are going to have to be great players, great shot creators, isolation. let's say Zach LaVine was on this team at the 2, and you brought in a sharpshooting 3 like OG Anunoby, I think that you can still win with Mitchell Robinson, but yeah, you need more firepower.
Anunoby, if he came to the Knicks right now, he'd be a backup. He'd be a bench player. He's not taking RJ's job. He's not taking Julius's job. He'd be a perfect backup to either one of those. And then if you want to get into the argument of, well, he brings more to the game than RJ Barrett does. He doesn't require the ball as much, and maybe he's a better fit rebounding and defensively as a starter, and you're going to bring RJ off the bench. That might be an interesting dynamic. Might be.
Yeah.
But right now, if OG Anunoby came to the Knicks, he'd be a backup player.
Well, one
You
of these
agree with
players
that?
would one of these players would go. I don't see us. It would have to be a trade, Bill. If it was, if it was a cap space signing, we'll have to lose a contract. So,
well, I think we all know who that contract is. There's $18 million in cap space that the Knicks have for any deal. His name is Evan Fournier.
Now, everyone knows I'm much of a fan as anyone, and you root for this team, of course. But let's keep it a buck. There's only one player in my mind that's untouchable in terms of if there's another upgrade available. Bill. Now, Julius Randle has been a 2-time All-Star in his 3 years and has been maligned. Is an important player for this team. He changed agencies recently in the off season. Now, some people have squashed it. Some people have given a reasonable explanations as to why he's moved by credible reports and all of that. But I'm not here to debate that. Going back to the untouchables, right? If the Knicks end up flaming out in the next year or two, the hard decisions are going to have to be made, and any player can be expendable. So, do you see the same thing? What I'm seeing, Jalen Brunson in the minds of the front office is the only player that they would keep no matter what. And
I agree. I agree with that. And there might be a player or two from his Villanova heritage that he would demand stay with him. But no, I think Jalen is the only untouchable on this team. Because again, we've said it several times, the Knicks are rife with friendly contracts. They've got them all over the place. So, for them to make a deal, to make a multiplayer deal, I think they're in good position to do that. And I think this is was so, I don't want to say frustrating, but so aggravating about things that they didn't do this summer. They just didn't. They basically sat pat this summer.
Yeah.
Okay, Obi Toppin, it's the first time we mentioned his name in this conversation. They're not going to miss him. They're not going to miss him. The way they are set up right now, there's 3 guys. There's 3 guys, and there's Quickley. That's who's going to shoot the basketball for them.
You know why they didn't make a move? All they did was just prolong the inevitable, right? There was no move available really to make, but that's just prolonging what's going to happen, which is basically on pause.
I disagree that there was no move to make, because the move that I wanted them to make wasn't a popular move. And I wanted them to get Ayton here and would have given up Mitch and Randle to do it.
Yep.
And can you imagine Julius Randle on the Phoenix Suns? Yikes.
Julius would fit on a lot of teams. But
no double teams for Julius, not anymore.
No, they're not. There's some arguments that could be made, definitely, for that move that you wanted to make happen, and I feel like the front office was just never going to do that. But definitely a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, I could see Leon turning to that as a plan B.
Why? First of all, he doesn't have a friendly contract, because I think next year he's a $50 million player.
Yeah. No doubt. I'm with you on that. I don't want Karl Anthony Towns here. Obviously, Joel Embiid is the first target, but he's
I
in Philly, and
I
there's
think
no
Embiid's a
way.
pipe dream. Embiid comes
Yep,
here as a free agent, but
I'm with
Philly's
you,
not trading him here.
100%. Is a guy like
So
Zach Levine who reports today out of Chicago, if they start under 500 by the deadline, he's on.
again, a
He's an
shooter.
upgrade on Brian.
He's a shooter. He's a one-dimensional player, and if you want to take a look through the eyes of Tom Thibodeau, and we've seen historically how it's been when shooters come to teams and coaches want those shooters to play defense. Not gonna happen.
Yeah,
I, you know, again, the Knicks are they're in an interesting spot. I'm not saying it's a favorable spot. And see, I'm looking at the chat now, the comments, and that
yeah.
Aiton thing.
Have
It's
at it.
like, kids, relax. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Aiton's in Portland now. He's not coming here. You got
Yeah,
Julius back. Okay, I hope you're happy. You got Mitch back. I hope you're happy. Your big step up. Your big step up is Dante. That's what you got this offseason. Is
and
that going to be enough?
continuity. Yep.
Is that going to be enough? The Knicks are a small team. They really are. I mean, how much value is there in the Hartenstein? Guy's going to come in, give you 10, 15 minutes. Maybe he'll make a pass. Maybe he'll make a bucket. Is he going to get a rebound for you? I don't know. I'm just not – this roster's not grabbing me. It's
Yeah,
not.
you're not high on the continuity factor. A lot of fans in the same position, and I think it's going to be a tough East. It's
Well,
definitely going to be.
what are we continuing? What are we continuing? Another second round ouster in the playoffs? Is that what this is all about? Is that the point of satisfaction for Knicks fans?
No,
We talked about
they're
we
biding their
talked.
time.
We've been biding our time since 1973.
Yeah, that's
That's a lot of Biden.
that's too much. That's too much heartache.
That's more Biden than Joe.
Now, look. If you're the optimist, you're like you are really high on RJ Barrett. Like you hope that he puts himself into that situation where he's more efficient. He's scoring his 20 points per game. He's commanding more attention from the defense, and and we get our fair shake to make the Eastern Conference Finals. But going back to the trade deadline, it's all going to be about what's going on around the East. What's happening around us. Could Leon Rose decide, okay, now's the time to strike, man? I've got all these draft picks. We're a 500 team right now at the deadline, right? I need to do this now. Look out for that.
I just want to ask all the people in the comments. I mean, if you saw the Washington game, Knicks were playing their starters in that game. There was no bones about it. They were playing their starters. They wanted to play them some big minutes to get them ready. It's part of the reason they rested him the night before in Boston. Didn't even have to come to the building. Didn't even have to get on the bus. Didn't have to get on the plane.
Yep. Final warm-up, dress rehearsal.
Washington torched them. Washington torched the New York Knicks, specifically Jordan Poole. We talk about continuity. We talk about improvement. How much more juice do you think you can squeeze out of this orange, this grapefruit? I'm not going to say lemon. How much more juice do you think you can squeeze out of this group? And see, that's the question for me. How much more can you get out of this group? Because you're bringing last year's group back. How much more can you get out of them? Okay, how much more does a healthy Julius Randle or a healthy Emmanuel Quickley, because remember, he did do an ankle just like Randle did in the playoffs. How much more does that healthy duo give you? And bear in mind, Julius was totally healthy a couple of years ago against Atlanta. How'd that turn out? With basically the same kind of team.
Well, not speaking for them, but I'm sure their goal will be get back to the playoffs, have a better second round, and see where the chips fall. But yeah, Knicks fans are happy that we're more consistent. I guess I'm seeing some messages come through in terms of they know what guys are going to bring. It's a progress from the last decade, 17 wins.
See,
Corey
I like what Bricks Nation just said, and I'll give you the clean version of it. It's better than sucking every year, like we have for the most of the last 25 years. Well, here's the thing. I saw the Knicks win the championship twice.
Yeah,
I saw it. I saw the frustration of the Patrick Ewing years. Then I saw the frustration of Mike Woodson's great season when somebody disappeared. Don't want to mention Tyson Chandler's name in the playoffs against Indiana. I've seen it, and for a generation of Knicks fans, those are the high points, and I get it. The Sprewell years, high points, I get it, but none of that brought a championship.
Mm.
And if
my guy
Spree, I love Latrell Sprewell when he came here. He was about it and almost pulled it off. Almost came close.
Super talented. That's
San Antonio had another plan.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's like, stop accepting mediocrity. This is not a great team. This is a good team. This is a competitive team. This is a championship team. I think everybody that's posted here will give you a resounding hell no.
Yeah, and we're building to get to that stage still, and we have the assets to pull off the trade. But the next move is going to be critical.
Well, let me CT. Let me ask it this way.
Yeah.
Who's that player that's gonna, if there was a deal out there, who is that player right now who come in here and change it all for the better? Make you a championship contender. Yeah. Who is that player?
It's a great question, and I wish I had the answers, but I'll start by saying this. You know as well as anyone in the chat know how quickly the NBA landscape can change in the blink of an eye, right? 3 weeks ago, we were talking legit more about Giannis Antetokounmpo. And what did their under fire front office do? They pulled off a chess move.
Well, goddamn.
I mean, I don't think it's rescued. I think they've patched the hole. They've patched up the leak. But if they don't win it, he's still got his decision to make. He could still leave. He could still leave that small market team. Now, I don't think it's as likely, but that's at the start. Next guy, Embiid. Okay, Morey's not trading him to New York. Does he ever get aggressive and say, look, I want to go to these 1, 2, 3 teams? That's our best chance, I think. We're saving all these draft picks. Now, where it gets tricky after that is, less difference makers. We talked about Paul George to the Clippers. He's
too old. Too old.
We talked a little bit about Cat, which is a no for me.
Nobody wants him. Yeah. Not here.
Now, Zach LaVine would cost a lot less, would be an upgrade. Would that be enough to get us closer? We've got to see who else is around the team. Now, there's been a lot of talk recently, Bill. Devin Booker is the apple of Leon Rose's eye. Phoenix looks like they're solid for at least 2 years, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
we know how quickly time can come up, and KD's not getting any older. So I'll say that's still a chance in maybe 2 years. But look, as of right now, that point you're making, maybe that guy isn't there. Donovan Mitchell is probably a guy they're gonna, think about again in the next 12 months.
He didn't look that great in the playoffs. He did not look that great in the playoffs.
I think playing against a guy like playing with a guy like Garland, another small guard, the New York Knicks bully ball, like you said, the bullies punished Cleveland. But I think he would be a big upgrade, a big shot maker, shoots the ball from deep, right? He's going to pull gravity from the defense. So let us know who out of those guys, like what do you see coming? I know you're not in the prediction game, but what's warm and what's cold?
Again, I'm hoping that this team can perform as well as they did last year. I don't have any expectation of them exceeding what they did last year. Because again, I mean, does a healthy Julius Randle, does a healthy Emmanuel Quickley make that difference in that Miami series? I don't know.
Possible.
Will Dante DiVincenzo make a difference in that Miami series?
Poor Dante.
I don't know. But when I look at what the big dogs did in this conference this off season, the Knicks didn't keep up. They didn't keep up. I don't know. Does Cleveland get better this year? Do they squeeze more out of their big men than they did last year?
I'm not a buyer.
Does a full season of training camp and the whole thing of Donovan Mitchell, does that make a huge difference for them this year? I don't know. But
I think they're still soft.
All I'm saying is I'm not comfortable with what this roster looks like right now for the New York Knicks. I'm not. There's no hiding it. There's no sugarcoating it. I'm not, I'm not. Again, at the end of the day, and this is no knock on Dante DiVincenzo. He was outstanding with Milwaukee. He was good last year with Golden State. Spent some time with Sacramento. I get it. But that's the big upgrade you made this year. This is how you're going to fortify your team for battle.
Yep.
When Boston has done what they've done, Boston's in it. And you can't tell me that, the Knicks didn't have a chance to jump in that thing some kind of way.
Yeah, he's got to get aggressive at some point. This year it looks like the Mavericks will give us that draft pick from the KP deal. Finally, we have our own draft pick. We have 2 second rounders this year. That's 4 picks at least this year. Even more if Washington are not in the 12 worst team. So we're not going to be able to draft all those players. The roster is full. So yeah, this year is it's a wait and see how we look to start the year, Bill. The slower we start will dictate, or the better we start will dictate, I think, what Leon Rose is going to do. Now, in terms of the tiers, like, I know you can't give us a win prediction, but the Knicks are in that, second tier in your eyes? What? Do you think?
I'll put them between 45 and 50. 45 and 50 wins. That's, and last year they landed right in the middle of that.
Yep.
It's not conceivable. It's not inconceivable that they could take a step back. I don't hope that they do. And let me be clear on this. I'm not rooting against them. I'm not hoping that the Knicks fall on their face. No. Oh, no.
No way.
Because that's going to make a long winter. I'm not a Nets guy. I don't watch the Nets. No. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about them. They made a big trade with Phoenix last year, and they got a couple of good players out of it.
Ben Simmons.
But I couldn't tell you. Ben Simmons is starting to look like Ben Simmons again, huh?
Yep. Good news for
Yeah,
Australia.
early Philly Ben Simmons. Yeah, Australia Ben Simmons. Okay, LSU Ben Simmons. He's starting to look like that guy again. You know, there is nothing in me that, and I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. There's nothing in me that would ever allow me to root for the Boston Celtics. I
No.
don't like
Oh,
Philadelphia. The point I'm making is I'm a Knicks fan. I want to see them do well.
yep. You're an objective Knicks fan.
I'm not feeling it, man. I'm not. I want to. I hope they make me look like a fool, which is not hard to do.
Look, it's
But
clear they're spinning it as, look, we're happy with continuity and we like our chances, but there's no way you could tell anyone that was their first option. You know, everyone's first option is to improve and upgrade, right? And they were in conversations with Drew Holiday. They don't want James Harden, which I'm really happy about.
yeah, thank goodness.
You know, I've never been to New York City, but I know there's a lot of clubs. So
I'm more excited about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got some guys back. They got Giddey coming back. I mean, come on, man. That's a young nucleus that just has to learn how to play together.
now I wanted to hit on a couple of things, Bill. One, firstly, is the lawsuit going on with the Toronto Raptors, right? It's kind of been pushed aside, and the Raptors might be sort of counter. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're dismissing what's happened. Do you have anything to say on that?
What's the goal in the Toronto lawsuit? What do you want to get out of it? What do you want to get out of it?
To bring the penalty for them for stealing proprietary information.
So what's that going to get you, a draft pick?
That's what fans were in arms. They were like,
A
"Is this
draft
going to
pick
get us OT?"
yeah, and six figures in money or seven figures.
Yeah.
It's not something that, I mean, look, that's as tangible as the trade talk for who's this, Wenvin Gamble, who got cut by the Celtics being a back. I mean, give me something tangible, man. Give me something to grab on to. I don't care about that lawsuit.
Wenyen Gabriel.
Yeah, him.
Yeah. What have we signed him now? Have we?
I don't know. There was some thought that they might, because he got cut by the Celtics.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we will. I will address that. We'll talk about the Knicks fringe moves. But the other thing is, you've been around the league a lot. You've seen different stories. What's some feel good stories, feel good moment that you have being around the Knicks, being around the team?
They're a community oriented bunch. They really are. They get after it. They get out in the community. They do a lot of good things, and they don't just do it with money. They do it with time, and that is always encouraging about them. And again, as a group of people, as a group of men, you're not going to find a much better organization than the New York Knicks. You're not going to find a much better locker room about guys who get it. But I mean, that's just the icing on the cake. I want to see the trophy come back here, man. I want to see that. And I mean, there's a whole litany of things that weren't done in the past quarter century that kind of set that up. And you can start with letting Pat Riley go.
Yeah, you said it. Should they welcome Pat?
25% of every final in the National Basketball Association, Pat Riley has been involved.
It's funny. Heat fans are ready to run him out of town. They went spaz after they didn't get Drew Holiday, or what? A few spaces. But should the Knicks get Patrick Ewing back? Should they? They look after Spree. They look after LJ.
I mean, what? Just to come and say, just before we went on, I saw something. I think it was on Twitter. about should there be a Patrick Ewing statue in front of the Garden. Not before there's a Willis Reed statue. Not before there's a Walt Clyde Frazier statue. Love Patrick.
Amen.
Love Patrick like a brother. But if you're going to build statues that you can put rings on. Build that statue for me.
Yeah, I don't buy into all of that. You know, there was some big account that photoshopped Karl Anthony Towns in a Patrick Ewing jersey.
It's a different time. It's a different mindset. And again, I'm not mad at Knicks fans. It's like, okay, if another second round playoff ouster works for you, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
It doesn't work for everyone, no doubt.
No, I want to see some gold come back to the building.
Yep.
I want to see, and I'm not saying there's not respect for the Knicks around the league, but not like it was. Not like it was.
Yep. And they never got Patrick that second star, just like Ace of Spade says. Salute and Buzzer Beater says, yeah, Willis Reed should have a statue.
Yeah, he should.
Would you retire Carmelo Anthony's jersey? There's been a lot of talk about that.
No. I have it in the other room. There's a Carmelo bobblehead. And sometimes you see pictures of Carmelo and the Knicks in those hideous orange uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
Where they never won a game. They never won a game in those uniforms. You should never, ever allow anything to be shown New York Knicks in that orange uniform ever again. Unless you bring it back for a season and make it your primary uniform and at least get some wins in it.
Yeah.
Thing was like 0 for 7, 0 for 8. No. Look, again, Carmelo was a great player. His greatest night was the night he lit up the Charlotte Bobcats for 62. Yep. Charlotte Bobcats, people.
Yeah,
they don't exist anymore. Yeah.
Don't forget about Easter Monday against the Bulls. Double
overtime. I'm not retiring Melo's number though. No.
Yeah, me too. There's too many other guys. There's too many. Great Nick will go down as one of the best Knicks, but you gotta keep it sacred in my eyes.
Yeah.
Retiring.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you start retiring Melo's jersey, you probably end up retiring Julius Randle.
I got to do Bernard King. And B was a great player. Great player. Great player with the Knicks. Scoring champion with the Knicks. His name, his uniform is still being worn. No, I'm not retiring Carmelo's uniform. No, not at all.
Yep, I'm with you on that. And before we get out of here, we'll just make a few notes about the roster situation. The Knicks haven't signed Wenyen Gabriel, but he's been waived. But
he's been waived by the Celtics, yeah.
Yeah, the long story short is the Knicks have two-way spots to fill. They've waived Jalen Martin and Nathan Knight, which were very surprising to me. And they've waived Isaiah Roby after he shot 3 or 4 from deep, 15 minutes, a backup power forward that we need. So what does this mean? This means that the New York Knicks will be bringing some players in. So stay tuned,
Yeah, don't forget they did sign Mamadi Dikate. They signed him. He is,
Yeah. Those guys are Exhibit 10, though. So they're going to go straight to Westchester.
D-League, yeah. G-League, pardon me.
G-League, yeah. So, we will have to fill Roby's regular roster spot. If Daquan Jeffries doesn't stay, that'll be another roster spot to fill. Now, why are they doing this? It's because they're going to wait to see who's getting cut. The Wenyen Gabriels of the world. Maybe JaMychal Green or another power forward shakes loose. So that's why
Green would be interesting. He'd be interesting. But again, there's nothing there that's like moving the needle. Who's going to be this year's Josh Hart? Who's that person going to be?
Here's a name for you. We haven't mentioned his name the whole show. Kevin Fournier.
I did mention his name. Remember, I said they got that $18 million. I wouldn't reject it.
He can
I wouldn't reject it. Yeah. If he can return to the form that he was 2 years ago, when he led the team in 3-point baskets, then got removed from the rotation the following season. Knicks need shooters. They need shooters. And they've got a couple. They've got 2, maybe 3. But the question is, see, Cameron Goldberg says, no Fournier.
And Jacady, is he a world beater? What's the deal? Is he?
He's on a 10-day. So, again, there's a lot of guys here. But I want to know who's going to be this year's heart. Who's going to be the heart this year?
I'll give you my X factor, and it's RJ Barrett. It's RJ Barrett because we need that third guy to be as consistent as the other two can, and however clunky the offense is, however it works, we're going to need him. That's just how it goes. We're going to need him to shoot 37, at least 38%, and that's going to help us grind out the 48 wins that I'm predicting. What do you think about that?
45 to 50. It's right in that ballpark. And I think there's going to be about 3 or 4 other teams that are going to be right there in that same mix, that 45 to 50 mix. Vaughn Allen says that guy is going to be Randle.
Yep.
Vaughn, I hope you're right. Yep. I hope you're right. I mean, Julius talks the talk. During the regular season, he walks the walk. Now I want to see some postseason walk. Give me that.
Hulu says, don't wait on RJ, CT.
Again, I said this earlier. Every year, there's a team that steps up. Somebody emerges. I don't know who that's going to be. And there's also a player. Who's going to be that emergent player on the New York Knicks? You say RJ. I say Grimes if he gets his shots. It's still a mystery.
I think this is just going to be the best year of RJ Barrett's career, and it should be his 5th year coming off a bronze medal. Congratulations, to him.
He did play well. He did play well this summer. Yes, it made a difference.
So, just any names that aren't on the Knicks that are to watch this year for you? Do you feel like the Donovan Mitchell, Zach LaVine things are a little more warm?
I think that ship has passed. That ship has sailed on Donovan Mitchell. I just don't see it. I mean, everybody had an opportunity to do it, make it happen, but I don't think Donovan Mitchell's coming here. It's interesting. A couple of nights ago, I'm going through some old box scores. I used to do play-by-play for the Brooklyn Cyclones. And one year, his dad, Donovan Mitchell, was a coach on the Brooklyn Cyclones.
Yes, indeed. Now with the Mets.
Yes. That was a Mets minor league team. Still is a Mets minor league team.
Yeah.
But
he wants to be here.
I want to be a billionaire.
Agent. I want to be a billionaire. He's going to choose?
Well, he can choose, but then there's the process of working out a contract. Kyrie Irving wanted to be here, didn't he? How'd that work out?
That's the thing, yeah. The rumor mill continues. Now we're in the thick of the football season. For our diehard football fans, Bill, you want the New York the New York teams to thrive. Unlike
always. Well, I'm born and raised in New York. I'm a New York guy. Who am I? I'm not rooting for anybody that doesn't have New York on their jersey.
Yep. You're not rooting for the Eagles, for the Cowboys.
Oof. I got in-laws that like the Cowboys. I got in-laws that are season ticket holders. My brother called us just before we went on. He's a season ticket holder for the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh.
Like
Ron from Baltimore. Ron.
Yes, very well. Very well.
Look, I'm a Giants fan, and that it's already a bit dicey the season. I need my Knicks to shock the world.
Football hope in New York is the Jets right now. I'm with Keith Turner. We're not going to the ECF with this roster. Come on now. I'm with you, Keith. And I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal. You want to play for the big piece of metal. You want to play for that.
That's why I'm telling you, we need our Spiders. We need a Levines. We need an upgrade to get further. Now, what I do want to say is some people say, oh, they're not going to win us the chip, but there's no guarantee in any pro sports. You can't guarantee. We saw Kevin Durant not able to win with the Brooklyn Nets with 2 Hall of Famers.
Yep.
Show me a guarantee and I'll buy it. There is no.
I mean, improbable things can happen. And that's why I don't get in the prediction business, because people had the Jets going to the Super Bowl.
Really?
4 plays into the season, that all changed, didn't it? 4 plays.
Could still happen. What do you mean?
Yeah, it could.
Anything else you mention before we get out of here?
We one thing we didn't talk about, and I'm not sounding the alarm for Knicks fans, but city of New York has kind of put the Knicks in Madison Square Garden on notice. You got 5 years. What you gonna do?
That sphere is looking good.
It is, but I don't think the Knicks will ever play in it, not as a home team.
No,
it's the sphere, James, of course, built by James Dolan,
Magic,
the man who owns the New York Knicks. It's out in Las Vegas. The league would never let the New York Knicks move to Las Vegas. That's not going to happen. So something's got to happen here in the metropolitan area in the next 3 or 4 years, because city has said, you got 5 years, man. You got 5 years.
The plan has been to keep just extending it, right? Is there any talk that they won't extend it?
Well, the problem is that the train station, the Moynihan train station, Penn Station, which is now expanded across 8th Avenue to what used to be the old post office. Well, now they need some of that land, some of that territory on the 8th Avenue side that is on the other side of the Madison Square Garden property line.
Yeah, there's some things coming. That we'll see how the Nets are doing. Remember that, when they first announced themselves as the blueprint for greatness, it's been far from that over there.
Oh man, I can remember those billboards that they would put on the side of the building, right in full view of the garden, about New York's best basketball team. The nerve.
Once Jay-Z left the project, that lost its shine, I think. And
yeah. And then there was some players that left too that, kind of took the shine off of things.
Yeah. But while we're on the New York sports scene, I've just saw 2 big news yesterday. They're building a brand new New York City football stadium, a soccer stadium in Queens.
Yeah.
A new precinct. And MetLife Stadium is in the running to host the World Cup final when the FIFA 26 World Cup is coming to the States. The LA Rams Stadium, LA, is lost the final.
Wow. That's big, because SoFi is like, whoa, that's a tremendous building. That is a tremendous building,
apparently. And the owner is not willing to invest to reconstruct. So
why should he? It's a beautiful stadium as is, and it suits the purpose very, very nicely. It just means we'll have more traffic jams here in New Jersey for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. But look, I hope the Garden doesn't go anywhere. I know James Dolan's going to fight tooth and nail, but that station, people want that upgrade.
Madison Square Garden is the last standing piece of New York sports history. I don't want to see it go anywhere. They did a great job with the renovation, which is now 7 years old since they changed the guts, the inside of the Garden. It's a beautiful place. I worked there for a bunch of years. It's the last vestige, because think about it.
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium, Shea Stadium, Polo Grounds, the original Garden, all those places are gone now. Madison Square Garden is it.
Not
It
only
is
that,
it.
it's Knicks are the only them and Boston are the only two teams that never relocated.
Right.
The two
Right.
your foundational franchise.
And hopefully, and I mean, now the Garden is the oldest building in the NBA. So fingers
And
crossed they can figure something out and everybody can be happy.
Yeah, still magical. It's players love it. Jordan, it gives the Jordan Poole special powers. It gives the Mike Muscalas of the world special powers. It gives.
Okay, now
if Bill or
Madison Square
CT
Garden
stepped on the hardwood, I would become a shooter.
MSG Network should do a show. And the show should be my first game at the Garden.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? You think of all the players that first time they came into that building. Holy smokes. And some of them were some memorable performances. Memorable performances. Do I think Thibs should be extended? That's tough to answer. I mean, to be fair, he's done what he's done here. He's improved the team. He's improved the culture. There's no question about that. But again, it comes down to, what do you want to evolve to? Is he the guy that's going to take you to that next level? Is he the guy who is going to be, or that star player is going to be willing to come in here and sell out and play for?
Yep. I think, to me, it's dictated on the direction. If we end up rebuilding one day, then he'll go. If we're still trying to patch this veteran team and win, then yeah, I think he deserves to stay for now. I don't think you can afford more than 3 playoff flaming out in the playoffs. So he's got one out now down, and he's got a second one, another trip to the playoffs. So. Well,
maybe the third time will be the charm. Maybe the third time will be the charm. We'll see.
That's it. They didn't get the Kevin Durant's, the Kyries. I think that was a big sliding door moment. Not saying it would have worked, but I think that was the goal. Remember, they sold Porzingis. They cleared up 2 max slots, and they ended up with Julius Randle. We ended up with Julius Randle. So it's the second chapter now.
Who he's been an outstanding player, all-star, all-NBA, all of that, but he ain't been the guy to take us to where everybody wants to go.
We need a homegrown star, in my opinion. Now, Jalen Brunson ticks one of those boxes. Can we get him more help? We'll see if RJ Barrett, again, like my thoughts are, he's going to be huge for this season. His Knick tenure could be dictated on how this year looks. But ladies and gentlemen, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Replay Squad, the streets are buzzing when Bill DAUGHTRY comes in. Appreciate Bill, and always honest. Wants to root for this team, will root for the team, but has some areas that he's not excited by.
Come on, Knicks, make me feel it. Make me feel it. Make all of New York feel it.
Well,
I'm just not feeling it right now.
Let's revisit this 20 games in.
Fine with me. I'll be. You know where to find me, CT.
Peace, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Go New